Thomas, good morning. Thank you for joining the committee this morning. We've got you for a 10-minute presentation this morning, so I'll hand over to you to begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. I'll just check that you can hear me and see me.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So my name's Thomas Newman. I'm a litigation solicitor based in Auckland. I'm also a trustee of Hobson's Pledge. I appeared before the committee about a month ago alongside fellow trustee Elliot Ikile on behalf of Hobson's Pledge, but today I appear to make a personal submission in support of the Treaty Principles Bill. I'd like to spend a minute or two addressing the committee firstly on what I consider to be a serious problem in New Zealand, one which I submit to the committee is one that the Treaty Principles Bill is at least a partial solution to, and then move to address the committee briefly on issues of equity, freedom and equality, and then from there I'll invite some questions. So firstly, the problem. New Zealand is, in my view, plagued by a problem that I refer to as treatyism. What is treatyism? Treatyism is the cultural and political phenomenon where almost all issues of any public significance are framed in terms of a particular understanding or interpretation of the Treaty of Waitangi, one under which Māori never ceded sovereignty and where they entered into a partnership with the Crown, which no other people in this country enjoy. Under treatyism, virtually all public institutions and a startling number of private institutions repeatedly and compulsively declare their commitments to te tiriti and to the view that Māori are a special group of people. Treatyism is a variant of the divisive racial politics that we see overseas with some New Zealand characteristics. It casts Māori as a noble savage and eternal victim, and as New Zealanders with European ancestry as imperial colonizers and irredeemable villains. Both of these are distorted caricatures. Treatyism is, in my view, New Zealand's civil religion, or de facto civil religion. It fills the void left behind with the retreat of traditional religion. To live under treatyism is to endure constant, stifling, pretentious moralizing from a number of groups, including governmental agencies, well-to-do civil society organizations, mainstream and taxpayer-funded media, and a host of other organizations. Treatyism injects itself everywhere and insists itself on everyone. Almost nothing escapes. It gatekeeps higher education and entry to the professions. It does this by imposing regulations, making compulsory subjects or professional development courses out of the likes of tikanga, Mataranga Māori, Māori language and culture, and the treaty. And those who refuse, such as the likes of Janet Dixon, real estate agent, lose their licenses. Such requirements are also being pushed onto lawyers, medical professionals of various sorts, and even dental hygienists. It's not just everywhere, it's absurd. And if I could take a moment to pick on the Pharmacy Council for a moment. I was reading this past week a couple of documents published by the Pharmacy Council in 2023. The Pharmacy Council is a responsible authority under the Health Practitioners Competence Assurance Act 2003. And under their governance document, they describe themselves as having the responsibility of ensuring that all pharmacists in Aotearoa are competent and fit to practice. Now, in this 30-page document, they spend the entire document talking about the obligations under te tiriti or Waitangi, it compares itself to a waka ama and waxes poetic about tikanga and karakia. The Pharmacy Council has a karakia, but not once in the document are the words medicine, compound, drug, or even healthcare mentioned. And the competency guidelines, so the guidelines for pharmacists in this country, the Pharmacy Council insists that the first competency domain of pharmacists is te tiriti or Waitangi. So pharmacists are first required not to understand medicines, their effects and how to measure them, or measured dosages, but to apply Te Tiriti or Waitangi to pharmacy practice. And believe it or not, there's a push being made at present. I saw this last week. There's a campaign being pushed by a barrister of some prominence for, quote, Te Tiriti consistent dental health care. Mr. Chair, committee members, we live in a clown world and something needs to be done about it. And I think that the Treaty Principles Bill, as I said, will go some way towards solving that problem. These and many other things are said to be justified because of this particular understanding of the Treaty of Waitangi and its supposed principles. So I think it's appropriate that an appropriate definition is given to those principles. I'll move now to talk about freedom, equity and equality briefly, and then invite some questions from the committee members. There's been much hand-wringing before this committee about equity and how Maori are overrepresented in the worst statistics in health, education, welfare, and so on. I'll make a few points. Firstly, on equity. As a word or concept, it's not found in the treaty in either text. Secondly, if you care about equity, you would care about helping any person who is struggling, Maori or non-Maori, and you don't need a piece of parchment to do that. Thirdly, sovereign parliaments around the world can and do pass measures to improve the welfare of the least well-off in society. I don't think this is, personally, I don't think this is the proper role for government, but this can and is, it is and can be done. And fourthly, in light of the above, if you care about equity, I don't think the Treaty Principles Bill seriously threatens your ability to pursue this political end. Now, on equality and freedom, many have expressed the fear that equality means forced assimilation and stripping Maori of their cultural identity. In fact, the last submitter was basically making that point. This is nonsense. The greatest guarantee of cultural identity is freedom. In a free and democratic society, all people have the right to lead their own lives on their own terms in communities of their choosing. Under the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, amongst other important rights, Section 20 of the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act states that, quote, a person who belongs to an ethnic, religious or linguistic minority in New Zealand shall not be denied the right, in community with other members of that minority, to enjoy the culture, to profess and practice the religion, or to use the language of that minority. So it's right there in the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act. Those who are concerned about the loss of language and culture need not be concerned about what the Treaty Principles Bill means, because there are guarantees elsewhere in the law, such as the one that I've just referred to. So those are my submissions on the problem and, well, I think the overblown fears that people have about this bill. And I'll now invite questions from the committee members.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for your submission this morning. We've got a question there from Kahurangi Carter. Kahurangi, I think you'll need to turn your screen on, though.
Thank you so much. Morena Thomas, Kahurangi Carter. No Ngāti Maņapoto, no Tainui Aho, Te Iri o Ranginui Rawa ko Papatūānuku, and I also whakapapa to Wales, Scotland and England. Thank you for sharing your interpretation of the founding document of our country. I just wanted to know, because I can see that it is hard for you to honour the founding document of our country, and I just wanted to know if you need a hug.
No,
I wouldn't say no to one, but I don't think that's relevant to the issue before the committee.
Thomas, sorry, no, I'm not. We're not going to start our meetings like that this morning. That's not an appropriate question for submitters to ask. Thank you. And I'll just remind members.
I wouldn't say no.
I'll just remind members to treat all our submitters with the care of level of respect that this process requires. So I'll go to a question from Laura.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. My question to you, Thomas, is you mentioned in the outset that you are involved in litigation. Are you actually involved in any of the anything involving like resource management or anything around potential claims, or have you seen this within the profession that you work in?
I don't currently. I'm not currently involved in any resource management litigation, but I do keep abreast of the relevant law. So unless you've got a specific question, I'm not sure I could add much more.
That's okay. Yeah, I was just wondering if you'd seen issues within your professional career around around these issues, and part of the reason for the Treaty Principles Bill itself is to try and obviously rectify these issues that we have under some of our other kind of pieces of legislation, like the RMA, for example. But yeah, that's absolutely fine. I thank you so much for your submission.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. Look, thanks, Thomas. Thanks for joining the committee this morning for your presentation. We do acknowledge you taking time out of your day to be with us to present and to provide us with your view. So thank you.
Thank you.